We have just got to the end of the third day of questioning of Peter Francis, the undercover police officer who infiltrated anti-racist groups and was reported on the family justice campaigns between 1993 and 1997. Unusually, uniquely, as a former SDS officer, he went whistleblower in 2010. I'm joined by Claire Hildreth, who's been watching the evidence today with me. What have you made of what we've heard from Peter Francis in the last session?
It's been quite a long day, and it only really started getting interesting towards the end, which is always the way. His last 3/4 of an hour was pretty interesting, but a lot of it before was, don't know, reports and.
We were taking through a lot. So, I mean, basically, a lot of his reports towards the end were like kind of, there was a lot thinner. So there was a lot of questions about what was missing. There was a lot, I mean, as has been throughout all of his evidence, a lot of pointed questions about the Stephen Lawrence campaign. There's apparently two meaty reports he wrote about the Stephen Lawrence campaign, which are not included with the bundle.
Yeah.
Have gone missing.
Wonder
for whatever
why.
reason. He says that they were negative reports, saying that basically that the left was not influential in those reports, and maybe because of that.
Yeah, it's possible, I suppose.
A lot of what we were hearing about, we were just sat there listening, was about his withdrawal, his exfiltration.
We've not got to the sort of, we've got a little bit of that, haven't we? And he's just sort of gone. I mean, can we talk about everything?
Yeah, we can talk about everything.
He went to Berlin.
Yes,
as part of it, and then he said his pretend mother was ill.
Yeah.
Was very seriously ill.
Yes, I mean, so apparently that had been laid from early on. He is a fluent German speaker. And it was the exfiltration report was shown, which said that leaving a militant tendency was militant labor rather at that point was a bit difficult. That you had to have a good reason. So he was going to use some feigned trauma. And particularly trauma around his very ill mother, who he had been kind of seeding the idea was elderly and ill, alone in Germany for the whole of his deployment.
Oh, I didn't realize that she was meant to be in Germany. That must have come up on Monday, or
it had come up before, but it was in that exfiltration report.
Right. I missed that bit.
As part of his, the fact that he was a fluent German speaker, his mother was in Germany, his mother was of German extraction, which apparently is that also factual? Is that his real mother is of German? Well, what was interesting as well was he was asked about, he wanted to stay in the field for another year. And he felt that he made the case, and he made the case again, not only at the time, but he made the case again when he was being questioned about the value of him staying in the field for another year. That even though the security services were moving away from subversion, that there was still a desire to have information about the leadership of the militant labor. So he felt that he should stay in the field for another year. Now, this is something that we've seen so many times.
It's like they don't want to leave because you didn't want to give up that identity. He said it was a better life for him, which that was when my ears pricked, because that was kind of, I don't know. So it was quite sad because he was falling out with his wife, but they had a kid, but he was only staying with her because of the kid. And then she approached Bob Lambert behind his back. So they were kind of, and then it all came out. So I think that's then he was starting to get, I don't know, even though his undercover identity was like a really angry guy, he didn't want to let go of it. And then he said he spoke to HN1, didn't he? And HN1 then talked about how he'd been, somebody thought he was a copper from the beginning. And he said, yeah, that would never happen to me because I was so angry. Anybody that would have said that, I would have got really angry with them. So it was, I don't know, honestly, I didn't know him in his undercover identity, but he did somewhat say that was so he's taking that anger back home, but then he just didn't want to let go of it. That kind of came across quite strongly, even though, like you said, the reports were getting thinner, and it was kind of obvious from just being in there that it was kind of like becoming increasingly pointless in being in that deployment.
I mean, very much when considering that the deployment against militant labor was to do with subversion, and it was becoming very clear that they were not capable of mounting revolution. I mean, it taken him this many years is just a bit of a farce.
Lacking in revolutionary potency.
Yeah. Lacking revolutionary potency.
That's such a weird phrase, isn't it?
It really is. But yeah, it was very this whole thing about his. I mean, he was known as Mr. Angry within the SDS, and this angry persona. He said that there was a shift, and this angry persona became his real persona. That he was angry all the time. We saw a report from Keith Edmondson about his next job, where he wanted to work in the surveillance team, but they weren't seem to be willing to give him that. They wanted to move him to S Squad, which he didn't want to do. And I mean, the report says even more intense than usual.
Yeah, two exclamation marks. Was that when it was? Yeah. So you can imagine how it went down.
And I mean, the officers who were writing this about him, he's having these meetings where he's expressing extreme anger, saying that he won't necessarily come back to work. These are senior officers. I mean, it's clearly not very good for his career. I mean, he did give the anecdote about the time when some uniformed police from a particular police station, I forget which one, met with him wanting to get information about what Black family justice campaigns might be doing in terms of protesting at their police station. And he said, well, stop fucking killing black people. Which he said in front of his managers, which he said, didn't do much for his career, that they were shocked by the fact that he was behaving in such a way and like calling out the police in that sort of manner. Which, is, I mean, that's not how police officers are meant to behave.
It probably wasn't often like that. So I can imagine he was getting don't know, it seemed to be getting to him. And the reason that, the fact that was what they were expecting him to give information about something that he clearly felt was like any normal person would think it was wrong. Was it like Kennington or somewhere down there?
Yeah. I think it was, Yeah, I mean, it's we're starting to see the sort of he's somebody who's very precise. He's been very precise throughout, but he's also said about his mental health problems, the PTSD that he was diagnosed with. And we're getting to the period now where he's getting towards that diagnosis. And he's obviously, he's very angry still about, I mean, we could see the rise in anger that he was expressing about his reallocation of his role. The fact that he was no longer going to be an SDS officer, which he was clearly very attached to. Yeah.
It's obviously we can't kind of understand that kind of mindset, but I also think although like HM1, for example, did continue longer than he was meant to, I think he probably didn't have that same level of attachment to the persona and was ready to get out of it, and probably maybe had a more stable home life that he wanted to get back to. Whereas if your marriage is breaking down and you're unhappy in that way, you're probably going to kind of want to sort of cling to the persona a bit more.
It's interesting because like James Thompson also didn't want to leave his undercover role. I mean, that was because he was getting so much out of it. But it's not just them. I mean, like literally, so many of the former undercover officers, if they didn't resist being removed from the field early or on time, they successfully. I mean, like Bob Lambert managed to successfully extend his tour. It was meant to finish before the Christmas, and it was actually the March before he actually
left. Did it as well.
Yeah, I mean, it just is so common that they're really like kind of attached to this, this not just the persona, but not just the job, but just something about being in that role.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably like exciting to a certain extent. I don't know. And then did he do this role? The one he did for a year.
He did some other role,
OSU or something. That he wasn't very happy about.
Something on S Squad. We didn't really get into that. He was just unhappy about it. But it was quite a low ending, wasn't it? He was like really down the dumps.
Apologized to him. Or was it Barr for saying I'm sorry to end on such a low point or something? Because it was a bit.
Yeah. I mean, it's this whole thing about like how much that they're like invested in this identity. I think a lot of it comes down to something which Charlotte Kilroy, the barrister representing the Category H women, has said in her opening submissions about the opportunity of being an undercover officer gave these men this dark playground, and like this extremely manifests itself with the sexual abuse, but also it manifests itself in other ways, like with people who they joined bands or they became DJs or they did like the video editing, that there was some aspect of their life that they never got to explore in their real life, that they were able to live out as this fictional character. And there was some part of that which a lot of them were holding on to that wasn't necessarily the job, wasn't necessarily the infiltration even. It was just, there was something about being that guy that they really wanted to keep going.
Did he have relationships? Do we know?
I mean, he deceived at least 2 women into sexual relationships, but the understanding is that they weren't very long. They weren't very long. They were short, maybe even one night stands. We haven't really explored that yet.
Well, do you think we will? Because he's got a full day still. And he said it's going to end. He said we're on track. Barr said we're on track to finish tomorrow.
Yeah, we are on track. Apparently,
Yeah.
we're on track to finish tomorrow, which is good news because it was nearly said that we were going to finish on Friday. I'm just looking at we've had some comments. So let me just do this. So yeah, someone asks. God, I can't read it. Joseph Grimes asked, "Where was yesterday's footage?" So yesterday, the live broadcast was suspended numerous times, and then at the end of the day, it was made private. Now, the morning footage, as I understand it, is now available again on the Undercover Policing Inquiry YouTube channel. But the afternoon, when I last checked, was still private. I presume they're going to edit something out of it. I would say that the lawyers for the inquiry are a lot more jumpy, maybe is the right word. This morning I was informed by one of the lawyers for the inquiry that I was a star pupil, which made me feel quite sick about, really sick actually, about the fact that I hadn't breached the previous day's restriction order. By lunchtime, I was informed by another lawyer for the inquiry that I was on my last warning. And that if I
they're two very contradictory things.
Yeah.
You've gone.
I'm on my last warning about my tweeting that I tweeted something that which has happened before. It's not clear what the restriction order is about. So there was a lot of tweets that I didn't send that were scheduled to go out that I deleted. Others that I edited to remove the thing that I thought the issue was. But one of those that I left some piece of information in, very minor. I would argue if it did come to this, I think I've got good grounds for saying that actually what I did tweet out is not something that's restricted. It's kind of connected. So it's really important that I don't breach that again. I might get thrown out. So I mean they are a lot more jumpy than they were. So I don't know when the rest of that video from yesterday will go back up. Another comment from Joyce Giblin. Joyce, thank you so much for the work you're doing for Justice on our behalf. Thank you, Joyce. Lovely to hear from you always. I hope you're keeping well. Kind words from you mean the absolute world. Lovely to hear from you. I hope everything's good. So I mean, we are back for one more day of questioning. That will include the Rule 10 questions, which we don't know how long they take. They're the further questions which other lawyers can ask bar to ask on their behalf. So it might go on for a while. That there are the sexual relationships are outstanding. There's a number of matters that are outstanding. I mean, we opened with some of the stuff about his whistleblowing, but I imagine there's more there as well.
Yeah, they used that Guardian article. Did you talk about that before? That was it was that was quite interesting because I saw somebody looking at it. It was a live question and answer session, and that was kind of. He started nitpicking that you should have said that you didn't, So it is like giving him a kind of hard time, but not that much. It's sort of a little bit, I don't know. Having watched him compared to what I've read, I don't know. It was more. I don't think they got near these family justice campaigns as much as they really wanted to, but they.
I mean, he's very clear that he didn't actually infiltrate the family justice campaigns. What he did was he put himself in a position where the people within the family justice campaigns would tell him things because he was branch secretary of the Hackney and Islington branch of the Militant Labour, which was the area in which the headquarters of Militant Labour was, so that he was really at the nexus then of any information that Militant Labour was getting hold of.
There just wasn't a lot coming through because they didn't trust them, I don't think, and they could look after themselves.
But we saw the reports that he filed about those family justice campaigns, and he was getting some information about what they were planning and what happened. I mean, it's fairly minor in the sort of the scheme of things, but I mean, he was reporting on them.
It wasn't that. It just wasn't that great intelligence. I mean, he said that the higher ups were saying, "Oh, it's all really good," but I was struggling to see how. It wasn't crucial in any way. I don't think.
I think that's something which comes across. I think with a lot of the SDS intelligence is that when we look at it, we're like, well, why are they so excited about this? But I mean, it's the detail of names, addresses. A lot of the stuff that's redacted out, stuff that we just see by a black box. It's that. Detail about individuals and the connection between individuals, which they are so. I mean, like there was, there was like practically got a gold star for that report on the Morecambe militant Labour conference, which seemed incredibly minor to me. But the fact that he had the detail of who was elected, and that was considered like, that was gold standard intelligence. They were really pleased about that. I mean, I think one of the main things we really learned from this process is actually what they're interested in.
Who knows who, and how do they know each other, and who they're going out with or connected with in some way. And it seems kind of, I don't know, minor, but maybe that's just the way they want to know that these connections that they can't generally find out, but we kind of just, because if you're involved in a group, or you just take it off for granted, isn't it? But I don't know, we don't know how these people's brains work.
Well, I mean, I think what then is what it said really on that report writing guide that we saw, that secondary point of the reporting, which was to find out things about people who potentially in the future might come to prominence.
Yeah, that's so dodgy.
So, I mean, so that it might not seem much. Why it had to be such a wide net is that, somebody's going out with somebody who knows this person, and then that person comes prominent in some position.
We already know about them.
We've got, and then they can be vetted against. They can be prevented from getting into any position of influence. Whether that's, that was something we got into quite a bit. Was the blacklisting, which was covered in the questioning of Peter Francis just now, where he talked about the relationship that existed between S Squad and the Economic League. That it was a two-way relationship. That information was being given to the Economic League because the Economic League provided a role in terms of countering subversion for S Squad by checking people on behalf of Special Branch.
That thing when he got sent down to the basement. I mean, Scotland Yard. What was that? I didn't really understand that.
So that was his time in C Squad, working for the industrial. Sorry, I said S Squad just then. I meant C Squad. And when he was on C Squad, as a junior, a sergeant asked him to go and give him a list of names and asked him to find information that the Special Branch held on those individuals before he went to go and have a business lunch with somebody from the Consulting Association, so he could brief that so economically from the
somewhere really posh. He said it wasn't a builder's calf, or something like that. So is it like the Ritz or something? I don't know. It was.
So I mean, the name of both that sergeant and the person from the construction industry were written down on a piece of paper. I thought it was quite telling that David Barr said, "Is that the name of the company or the name of the individual?" To which Peter Francis smiled, as if
it's the same name.
It's the same name of the person as the name of the company. I mean,
massive building company or something.
People may know that there is, a handful of building companies which are named after their owners. Some of whom have got. I mean, I don't want to say that in case I get it wrong, but the connection there is clearly very deep and very strong. That this wasn't just that the SDS as individual, because he was asked, did you personally pass information on? He was like, no, not like that. No, it doesn't work like that. It's a proper relationship between Special Branch and these companies. And he said, well, was this authorized? He said, well, this is the grey area in which Special Branch loves to live.
You said it with a smile.
Yeah, very much. Is there anything else you'd like to say about today's evidence?
That thing about this that came at the end about sort of when he was behaving even more intensely or stuff. They said that wasn't uncommon with officers that were coming to the end of their deployment. I thought that was quite interesting.
They were also angry about it. They didn't want to leave.
Yeah, but I think he was obviously you can kind of tell even now he's a very intense guy. So you can imagine him being younger and he could have probably come across as quite sort of scary if you were got on the wrong side of him. I don't know. He's quite an interesting character, I think, because some of them are just, I don't know, boring knobs that wanted to have their end away with as much as possible and really loved that sort of, that living that life. But I think, I don't know, I think he seems quite. He seems maybe a bit cleverer than some of them.
I mean, I think he was certainly motivated by his the job more than most. I mean, a lot of people, like you say, a lot of them seem to be motivated by their own personal gratification.
Yeah,
a lot of them
you say it so much nicer than I said it.
Yeah, some seem to be motivated by their career, but he did seem to be motivated by the job. And like the detail of the job.
Yeah,
and being good at it and being seen to be good at it.
Definitely.
Yeah,
he said it wasn't somewhere where you got a lot of praise. I think he kind of but he's just sort of accepted that rather than being like, I don't know, was it Andy Fan who was angry that he didn't get enough praise?
Yeah. I mean,
I
mean, it couldn't get a more different character, really.
No. Well, I know which one I prefer to go for a pint with. It's not Andy.
Definitely not going to pint with any of them.
No, I know. don't know. Just I don't know. I wouldn't mind under controlled circumstances.
Well,
I know it's
Claire
wrong.
might be going for a pint with a former undercover police officer. I won't be.
I'm sorry.
No worries. We are back again tomorrow. It was the fourth and final day of questioning of Peter Francis. It will be the last day of his questioning. We weren't sure if that was going to be the case or not, but it's been confirmed by David Barr that it will be the last day of questioning. Please join us then. I'll be doing a Twitter Spaces this evening, just recapping the day. Yesterday it ended up being incredibly late. It might end up being incredibly late again. There's so much to do. Covering all this stuff and like I am feeling quite worn out at the moment. I'm quite run down, to be honest. But one more day, then we've got a few days off, and then next week we'll be hearing from Alison, who was the woman who was deceived into a long-term intimate relationship by Mark Jenner, cover name Mark Cassidy. That'll be followed by some of the people who Cassidy spied on, and his wife at the time, S, known only as S, before we will be hearing from Mark Jenner himself before Christmas. I mean, that's all to come. But anything else you'd like to add?
No.
All right. Thanks for joining us, and see you all again tomorrow. Bye for now.